TICtutorials.com. Today we're going to look at consumer surplus and producer surplus. So we've been given the supply and demand functions. So the demand function is P is equal to 100 minus 0.5 Q, and our supply function is P is equal to 10 minus 0.5 Q. Now, we've been told to find the consumer surplus algebraically and graphically. So I'm going to start by finding it graphically. So to find the consumer surplus, or to show the consumer surplus graphically, we have to look at our X or Y plane. So the consumer surplus, after you've drawn your demand function on the X or Y axis and the supply function, is indicated by this triangle here. This is our consumer surplus, and our producer surplus is indicated by this triangle here. So whenever you're asked to show the consumer surplus and the producer surplus, you show it in this manner. That's how you show it on the graph. First of all, you plot your demand and supply functions, and then you indicate clearly which triangles represent the consumer surplus and the producer surplus. So the triangle that represents the consumer surplus is the triangle that is made by these 3 points: the equilibrium price, the y-intercept or the vertical intercept, and the point where the demand function and the supply function meet, our equilibrium point. So that's the triangle that indicates our consumer surplus. And our producer surplus is indicated by the y-intercept of the supply function, or the vertical intercept of the supply function, which in this case is 10 when our Q is equal to 0, and the equilibrium price, as well as our equilibrium point, the point where the demand function meets the supply function. Now, let's look at how you solve, or how you show, the consumer surplus, or how you solve it algebraically. So if you can see, our consumer surplus is indicated by the area of that triangle. So for us to find our consumer surplus algebraically, we have to find the area of this triangle. And you're going to remember that the formula for the area of a triangle is half base times height. So our base and our height can be this side or that side. So in this case, we're going to pick 0 to 90 as our base and 55 to 100 as our height. So let's do that algebraically. Let's replace our base and our height into the formula. So we're going to have CS is equal to half base times height. So we said our base will be from 0 to 190. So we're going to have half times 90 times our height, which will be 55 to 100. So 100 minus 55 will give us 45. So what is half of 90? We're going to have 45 multiplied by 45. So after you do your calculation, you're going to get 2025. So that's how you calculate the consumer surplus algebraically. Now let's look at how you do it for the producer surplus. So again, the formula for the producer surplus is half base times height. Now we're just going to use a different triangle. You have to find the area of this triangle. The triangle made by 55 to 10 and 0 to 90. So the formula for the producer surplus is the same as the formula for your consumer surplus. So in this case, our base will be 90. So I'm going to say half times 90 times our height will be 55 minus 10, which will give us 45. So when we do the calculations, we're going to have 45 multiplied by 45, which will give us 2025, the same as our consumer surplus. So that's how you calculate the consumer surplus and the producer surplus. Thank you for joining me in this tutorial. Please subscribe to this channel, and if you want more videos on mathematical analysis, like this video and